What if I told you there are some dark secrets hidden within your favorite cartoons? Good evening, mortals. I am Nowon 1196. Sorry for such a long hiatus. I apologize for not making a video in a while. But I have returned. Alongside with me is my partner, Setlaw. Today we will be discussing some rather dark fan theories and creepypastas about some of your favorite cartoons. A few of you may have heard these urban legends and fan theories across the web. But for those who don't know, beware. Your childhood is at stake here. Many remember Dexter's Lab as one of Cartoon Network's most successful show of the 90s. The main premise follows around Dexter, a boy genius, going through daily life. Throughout each episode, he goes through these crazy adventures such as alien invasions or giant robot fights, which sometimes can lead to the Earth being blown up. Yeah, just be glad it's only a cartoon. Yet people neglect to realize the darker side of the cartoon. According to this fan theory, it states that this is all in Dexter's head, as he has Asperger's syndrome. Now I know some may think this is crazy, but hear me out. If you take a look at his personality, you can automatically detect that he's not really good with interacting with people. Not to mention, he lacks knowledge on girls, so he imagines Dee Dee as an adult. His mother would constant mood swings, and his father, well, they just said he's disappointed in his father since, he's not a genius like he's supposed to be. Well, at least no one made a theory on how he becomes a serial killer. When it comes to Pokemon, it's one of the only video game franchises out there with an animated series, which many claim to be as good as the games. After spawning multiple seasons and spin-off titles, countless video games, and a successful mobile app, you'd think the series would ever hit the wall. Unfortunately, it gained an infamous fan theory, which has become one of the most recognizable fan theories out there on the internet. In the first ever episode of the long-running anime, Ash steals Misty's bike in order to take Pikachu to the Poké Center. Unfortunately, while riding there, they were attacked by a flock of Spearows, in which Pikachu uses a massive Thunderbolt attack, which at first glance may seem like it drove the Spearows away and only knocked Ash out and didn't cause any minor damages. Unfortunately, this is not how the fan theory describes it. In this notorious fan theory, it's stated that Ash is actually knocked into a coma by this shock, and all of his adventures only occurred in his head. For their proof, they detailed how a ho-ho flew right over a rainbow as they recovered. And from then on, all of Ash's adventures, every single one of them, from the first episode up to the new season, all occurred in his head. What makes this even darker is that they stated that if he even tried to wake up, it would cause a significant amount of damage to him. It's a shame though, because he only got to accomplish his dream by imagining it. he never got to do it in real life. Okay, now a few of you guys may not know this, but if you were a kid born in the 80s, this was definitely your cartoon. Inspector Gadget was a cartoon that ran from 1983 to 1986, which is about a cyborg police investigator as he investigates crimes committed by this organization called MAD. And no, I do not mean the comics. They're run by their leader, Dr. Claw. Now, many know Dr. Claw is the main antagonist of the series, but this fan theory states otherwise. Now, throughout the series, Dr. Claw never truly had a face reveal, but many fans have theorized that Dr. Claw is actually Inspector Gadget. Now, I know what you're thinking, but hear me out. Here's what I mean by that. The theory states that Dr. Claw is the original Inspector Gadget. The theory really goes in depth on this whole ordeal, as it states that Dr. Claw, the original Inspector Gadget, was actually killed on duty, and they made a duplicate robot that looked exactly like him to take his place. But it turns out the original one was still alive and decided to go rogue as soon as he found out about this. If that's the case, that could explain a lot. Unfortunately, it was debunked by the terribly written 1999 film Inspector Gadget, and the cartoon series after that, Inspector Gadget of 2016. This is why we can't have nice things. If you were a kid growing up in the 90s, this is a cartoon for you. Rugrats is known by many to be one of the greatest shows on Nick, and for good reasons. Possessing a strong cast, a unique premise, and all-around fun for the whole family. Or so you think. What many fail to realize is how the babies are able to communicate with the Angelica, but not with their parents, despite the fact that Angelica can communicate with the parents. This is where this creepypasta-ish fan theory comes to play. What the fan theory states is that the babies are all a part of Angelica's imagination. Now, a few of you may state, this doesn't seem too dark. Why would this be considered a creepypasta? What you don't realize is how the fan theory discusses what happened to the babies. In the fan theory, it states that Tommy was a stillborn, Phil and Lil were aborted, Chucky, along with his mother, died in a car accident, which explains why his dad's overprotective, and it turns out the only real baby was Dill. The fan theory even goes deeper into explaining how they're still around and all grown up, the spin-off of Rugrats. As in this, turns out Angelica and Phil grew up to be deeply damaged in the visuals in the show. And the rest of the gang, they were still part of Angelica's hallucination. She just imagined them to grow up. All except for Susie, who's her only real friend in this. But due to how mentally damaged she was, Angelica soon driven her away. I guess you can say this shows how dark a kid's show can really be, even when it's a Nick show. Well, when it comes to fan theories, no one's safe. Not even the lovable lazy cat Garfield. If you've been living under a rock your entire life and don't know who Garfield is pretty much just a lazy, lasagna-eating cat that we all know and love for the past 30-40 years. He's actually one of the most well-known characters of all time. And along the way, he had a few spin-off shows that were amazing. Until the 2009 reboot, which we will never speak of. It pretty much seemed like a mostly light-hearted series. Well, that was the case until there was a comic strip released for Halloween in 1989. And Garfield's creator created a series of comic strips detailing more of a story, which showcases Garfield in the house alone, with John and Odie nowhere to be found. The comic strips then get darker as Garfield comes to the realization that John and Odie haven't lived there in years. And just when he thinks he sees them again, it turns out to be a hallucination of John and Odie. Then in the last strip, he's actually in denial, as he is truly alone. And then all of a sudden, things go right back to normal, as John just asks Garfield if he wants breakfast. Now, it was at that point where people realized, well, thanks to the message right below it, that he may still be hallucinating John and Odie, as he's transported back to his normal life when he says he doesn't want to be alone anymore. And here's where things get a lot more insane. The theory is that Garfield's life was just a hallucination after he died. Although there is another form of this fan theory stating that Garfield's actually a poor, hungry kitten living in the abandoned house long after John and Odie died. How do people come up with these theories? And what's even stranger is how the creator inspired this theory with said comic strip. Includes the top 5. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe. But now I must bid you farewell, mortals, but I will return soon.
Push me to the edge, all my friends are dead. Push me to the edge, all my friends are dead. Push me to the edge, all my friends are dead. Push me to the edge. Phantom, that's alright. Inside all white, lights out.